Once you open the Excel file, take a moment to look over the data you've been given. The first table contains data on the individual sales invoice amounts and the customer number that relates to each sales invoice. We will use the Excel formula to add the customer name to each sales invoice amount. The second table lists the customer names and their corresponding customer number. In the third table, we will calculate the total bill amount for each customer. First, we need to add the customer name to the sales invoice table. You could do this manually by matching the customer invoice number to the customer name using the customer information table, but it would be not as efficient as using the Excel formula. Completing this task manually increases the time spent on the task and the chance of human error. The Excel formula VLOOKUP can be used to complete this task in an efficient manner. VLOOKUP should be used when you have a table with information in which you need to retrieve specific information from. Select box C4 and type VLOOKUP. The formula appears as you can see, and it asks for several components. The first component is the lookup value. This is the value that we are using to look up the customer name. Therefore, the customer number is the lookup value. For the first component, select cell A4. The second component is the table array. This should be the table that contains the information you are needing to retrieve. We are wanting to retrieve the customer name using the customer number. This information is found in the customer information table. Select cells E3 through F9. The next component of the formula is the column index number. The column index number identifies the column of data we want to retrieve. Since we are trying to retrieve the customer name from the customer information table, customer name is found in column 2 of the customer information table, so type a 2 for the column index number component. The last component of the formula is the range lookup. For this part, type false or select the false option. The false option gives the exact match for the formula. Close the formula with a parentheses, and the customer name for the first invoice should populate. It's important to add $signs to the table so that when the formula is dragged down, the table array component is locked on those specific cells. We need to add $signs on the E3 through F9 table. Drag the formula down the column so that each customer name has the appropriate customer number. Now that we have completed this task, we want to calculate the total amount due to each of the 6 customers. Once again, this can be done manually, but it's more efficient to use an Excel formula. SUMIF should be used to complete this task. The SUMIF formula should be used to sum cells based on values that meet specific criteria. For this task, we want to sum the invoice amount cells for each customer. Select box I4 and type equals SUMIF. The formula appears along with a list of components. The first component is the range. This is the range of information that will be used to distinguish each customer. For this task, we are using the customer name to calculate the total bill amount, and therefore the range is C4 through C23. The next component is the criteria. This is the criteria that's used to determine which cells to sum together. The criteria for this formula should be the customer name in the total bill amount table. Select H4. The last component of the SUMIF formula is the sum range. This is the range of values that will be summed based on the criteria. The sum range is the range of invoice amounts. Select B4 through B23. $sign should be used on the range as well as the sum range to lock down those specific set of numbers. Now that you've completed the formula, you can drag the formula down for each customer. The total bill amount for each customer is calculated. Now that you've completed these tasks, review the 2 formulas before attempting the post test.